Thank everybody for attending our webinar today on our new tariff. It's called the SurePrice tariff. I have Tammy Hetrick with me here. We do have a team that worked to put this together. Stacy Matuzak, Bonnie Deneen, Brenda Bigham, Roger, and then myself, Katie. So I just want to thank everybody who helped put this together, and I'm going to turn it over to Roger.
Well, good morning, everybody. Excuse me, at least it's still morning where I am. I think some of you are probably already having lunch about now. Very excited about this. SurePrice has been a long time in conversation. I've had a couple of people point out to me recently that we've been talking about versions of this really for a few years. So we're very excited that we're rolling this out, and we're just going to walk through a number of slides today, and as always, we will make the slides available to you afterwards. Also, if you checked your email this morning, you should have seen the Pulse article that came out, which has some nuts and bolts and details. I'd print that out and make sure you and your team are familiar with that. If you have questions as we're going, please just click on there to raise your hand. I can't see that, but the team there in Saginaw will be able to see that, and we can jump in, because if you're thinking it's a good question, chances are somebody else on the line is thinking the same thing. Let's go to the next slide. Why this is coming about is for a number of reasons. Our tariff is firm by definition. Tariffs have been set up for some of us old-timers. We remember back when the entire industry shared a tariff. The tariff is intended by the government to make us easy to manage, not to give us flexibility in how we serve our customers. Salespeople often are looking for ways of how can we be competitive in a certain situation. I've had agents call me and say, gosh, this is one I really want to haul. There's a lot of packing, or whatever it might be. How can I get more flexible with pricing in a situation? Sometimes it's a case where we've got customers that want additional services. Some of you have charges you provide for some local services you do that really are not legally chargeable under our tariff. We are required to file a tariff with the FMCSA, and we're required to follow it. So some folks have shared with me that you charged X number of dollars extra. It wasn't a tariff item, and our accounting department had to refund that to the customer. Now, if you've had a few things slip through, good on you, but the truth of the matter is we need to be compliant with our own regulations and our own tariff. And then finally, for those of you who are big haulers, how many times have you been so frustrated because you can't understand why the booking agent cut that job so far? Your driver's the guy who ends up having a tough time. Let's move forward. So we've come up with SurePrice. We're going to go through a couple of different takes on this and how it works, but for a quick overview, it is an option. This is not a requirement. This is not replacing the SBLM. This is not something that you must use. It is simply an additional tool in your sales toolbox. What we provide to a customer, as you'll see later, is a single line item price. No longer will they have to see item 135, origin, destination, and how come, what's this charge here, and why are you charging me this fuel surcharge, and all of that becomes invisible to the customer, as well as what we all get paid internally through our system. You, the booking agent, will set how much money your agency makes. This is probably the biggest change. We have been used to a system that tells us, hey, you're going to get 18% and change on everything you book over within these parameters. But just like international, you get to establish what we have called in this tariff the AMF, or the Agent Management Fee. One of the things that really pushed us on this was, as you know, our department does a lot of recruiting. We talk to agents that represent other carriers. Well, SurePrice, there is a version of SurePrice currently in place with the 4 largest competitors in our industry, which would be Mayflower, United, Allied, and North American. And agents that are with those carriers, we've had a conversation more than once where they've said, wow, we've got this system where we can charge 23, 25% on average on booking, and you, Stevens, you're really nice with your 19%, but we can make more money by managing our sales process and establishing our own pricing And we've lost some really good opportunities with folks that said we need to have flexibility. And listening to that, studying their business model, we realized that we can all do better, including you as the booker, in an environment where you get to select how much you charge for your services. PVO compensation is fixed. Our drivers, they will get paid the same on every SurePrice job. Doesn't matter what the salesperson is charging, your folks will always be guaranteed to be paid at the same level. Nice thing is drivers don't have to worry about discounts. There are no discounts on this tariff, and we'll keep going forward with that. And finally, we are not doing this for our real estate partners yet. That's one of the things we'll be talking about later in the presentation, but for right now, this does not work for Keller Williams, RE/MAX, Berkshire Hathaway, Realty Executives, or Exit Realty. Okay? Let's keep going. Why are we doing this? We've kind of covered that a little bit. We want to give you flexibility. There are times when you do want to be competitive. Some of you folks can't relate to it, but I hear from people in places, Denver particularly, Southern California, South Florida. There's times when the competitors just lose their minds. And if you've got that 16,000-pound shipment, you really want to get it, you want to make sure a driver can afford to haul it. How do you price it in such a way that it works? This will give you the tool to do that. Charge what you need for additional services. Again, we won't even start on TV boxes here, but some of you do things, especially with some of your high-end clients, where you're providing maybe some additional services at origin. You're going in there doing things that aren't really tariff charges. Some of our folks go out there, they'll hang pictures, they'll do a number of different things. You can roll all of that in to this at this time, and there's no limit to booking commissions. If you can sell it, you can have it. And again, the last two we've kind of covered already. So, how it works. The first thing I'm going to tell you is going to make a quarter of our salespeople groan out loud all in unison. At this time, this is a guaranteed price only product. It is not available for either not to exceed, nor is it available for actual weight. This is strictly a price. If you think about it, it's a little tricky to do the other piece of it because you've got your piece and the base charges and so forth. So it is all guaranteed price at this time. Your customer is going to see a single line item with a list of included services. We'll show you what that looks like, what your options are. Transportation charges are reduced from the SVLM basis. We've pulled out booking commission and readjusted the base charge. So again, when you go to the tariff, you look up the rate, and it shows on your screen that includes $0.00 for your agency. You will not get paid booking if you don't add an agent management fee. Can't overemphasize that enough because I want to make sure every one of you makes everything you possibly can. All the other rates in the tariff are based on our current pricing guidelines. So whether that's shuttles or any other services, it's all based on the current pricing guidelines. Okay? Also at this time, we're only doing outbound moves. You'll see that we've got a plan and a schedule on how we're rolling this out. We anticipate that within a year or two, this will be the lion's share, some form of a wholesale retail format of our consumer moves. That seems to be where the industry is going. But at this time, we've got to go one step at a time. So we're not doing any inbound or third state moves. It's only when you, the booker, are the origin agent. The tariff price, again, 100% is retained by Stevens. Customer doesn't see any of our revenue distribution. Fuel surcharge, I just want to warn you now, and I know Katie was going to look into exactly what it is. It is higher than the SVLM or RE tariffs. That's because, yes?
Hey, Roger, it is 2 points higher.
Okay, so it is always going to be 2 points higher. That will get added to the monthly update of fuel surcharges going forward. So if we're at 7 now, right, for the normal rate?
That's correct.
Okay, so it is 9.
I'm sorry, 6. No, it's 9. Yes. So we're at 7.
Our panel of experts has determined we're at 7. So for SurePrice, we are at 9%. That's because it's being taken on a smaller number. And you can ask offline, but it was a simple math problem that Bonnie and her team of number crunchers had calculated out. Again, we need to make sure our van operators can make money doing this. So The fuel surcharge is a little bit higher. When it comes to your services as an agent, you've got a couple of options. All the things that exist in the SVLM tariff and the RE tariff are packing, crating, origin services. All those things exist within this tariff. And the easy thing is you can go simply in there and click the full pack box or partial pack. If you're doing a shuttle, you're doing a day certain pickup, you can just click all those items into the tariff, or you can include whatever you want in your agent management fee. So if your salesperson says it's a 5,000-pound shipment, it's happening in July, or let's say in June, and you go, well, tell you what, let's just give them some really good service. We're going to pick it up. Tell you what, I just need $400 to pick it up, and it will charge $600 for some packing, so just include that in the AMF. You can include that with your AMF. But owners and managers, remember, you're going to have to provide guidance to your sales team on how you want to do this. For simplicity, you can keep going with the current system. Don't know who's listening, but one of the little secrets of this is we're not taking any percentage of the agent management fee. So if you've got some packing and it goes to the AMF, there's that little 6% thing that won't come out of your packing revenue. So that's one of the options you have. Valuation, again, is the same. Just like guaranteed price shipments on our other tariffs, we're not binding destination services. So if there's a destination shuttle, if there's waiting time, SIT, there's a mini storage charge, just like today, those are all chargeable to the customer. Okay? Boy, I'm not used to talking this long with no feedback from anybody. Katie, I have great respect for you guys that do this every month. It's like I'm talking to myself walking around here.
Well, that's okay, Roger. There is a question, but I've ignored it this far because we're going to come to it in a few slides here. So there has been some feedback, but
okay, so there is somebody.
You have a high degree of eloquence, Roger.
Oh, by the way, Jim Welsh joined us.
Okay, forget everything I just said. Jim's here. Okay, the pricing process. This is important. Right now, there's only two ways to use the SurePrice tariff. The first one is using the Stevens system. And again, kudos to Tammy Hetrick from our IT department who's on this call, who everything this team has brought up, asked for, or questioned, she has been on it like white on rice. She's taking care of that. So that is available today. Second is if you are a TechMate that is on a Windows-based system. So if you have a Surface or one of those Windows-based tablets with TechMate, it is available there. You'll have to contact TechMate, get it downloaded onto your system. If you have a TechMate system that is either an Android tablet or if you are on the TechMate iPad program, it is not currently available. We've asked them, and they say they're working on it, and in TechMate, that could mean almost anything. So God bless TechMate, but those are not available. We're hoping that will come soon. And IGC has not gotten on board with us at this time. Again, we're rolling this out a step at a time. When you're making changes on the fly, and we've already had to make some changes in the trial period, it's easier if we're dealing with a smaller sample. Okay. Again, you're going to complete it as per normal, and you're going to enter that agent management fee. That does not go in by default. It does not go in by accident, and you will make $0.00 exactly if you don't put in the AMF. I'm going to say that a lot. I know it's repetitive, but there's somebody who's been distracted every time I've said it, so I've got to keep repeating myself. Let's keep going.
Hey, Roger. So Tammy actually was thinking ahead of that, and it defaults, if they don't enter the agent management fee, it defaults to $500. So that is new since this was rolled out at the sales conferences.
Okay, that's good news. So that means, folks, if you have a $20,000 line haul and a huge shipment, if you don't put in an AMF, you're just making $500. And if you're doing a 3,000-pound small shipment, it's going to default to $500. That's good. Thank you, Tammy. We talked about doing something. I did not recall that that was done. So great correction. So if you don't do anything, you'll make $500. If you want to make more than that, you need to pay attention. Great input. Thank you. If your agent management fee is strictly booking, ballpark to start with would be 20% of the transportation charge. But again, owners, managers, provide guidelines for your sales team. Again, we've had agents, allied agents and so forth, tell us that 22 to 25%. Last week I was with an agent that came from the Unigroup system, and they said their number was typically 22%. That's what they always shot for. I've heard similar numbers from other agents. So again, you can play with this and see what it is, but you get to establish what it is. And let's face it, ladies and gentlemen, in the summer, it should be more. Okay, another thing you can do in here too is one agent I've talked to, he figures that, sorry Jim, don't take this personally, but he's decided that 1 out of 5 shipments in his market, or 1 out of 6 shipments in his market, he will probably be picking up locally. So he figures that he puts an extra $80 a shipment on every single one. He's building up, call it a slush fund, call it a kitty, call it a budget, but he's building up something to where he's got some extra revenue in-house to help him cover the cost of doing a great job on a local pickup or a pick and hold. Again, if you have commissioned salespeople, don't forget to clarify how that's going to be handled. I believe at Stevens, for our folks, we're doing something along the lines of what we do with international in terms of what commissionable revenue is, commissionable revenue for our salespeople. So again, you don't want to be paying your salespeople 8% of the transportation charge and find out they only put 8% on for an AMF. You want to make sure that you manage this carefully. Okay, let's keep going. Oh, revenue processing, it's my favorite part. Actually, it's everybody's favorite part because that's how you get paid. Okay, again, the AMF, an agent management fee, goes 100% to you. There is no marketing fee that comes out. You get the whole banana. The transportation charge goes completely to us at Stevens for us to distribute. And again, that includes fuel surcharge, item 135, origin and destination, line haul. Hauler compensation is separate. If you saw the Pulse this morning, your driver, if you haul one of these, is getting 82% of what is the line haul. Behind the scenes, all those items exist. We haven't done away with line haul, fuel surcharge, or item 135. From a revenue processing standpoint, those are all real. We process each one of those. You will get the 100% of your item 135 as the hauler. You'll get 100% of the fuel surcharge, but your hauling percentage for line haul will be 82%. That's all visible, and we'll look at some pictures of that a little bit later. Okay? We've been playing with this a little bit. We worked with 5 commercial agents and one of the Stevens own agents. We didn't do a ton of things, but what we found was we found some concerns. We found some glitches with our friends at TechMate. We've been able to address those. We've reissued some things. If you are one of those agents, make sure you've got the latest update of SurePrice from TechMate because they had to do a number of fixes. But we have done a number of test shipments through revenue processing, and we feel confident with what we have now. So we're rolling out tomorrow, phase 2. On Jim's side, he's got Stacy Matuzak that most of us know pretty well. She's watching each and every order. We get her printout every time an order gets registered, and there's been a number of orders move already to where she can work with it. She's going to talk with the dispatchers because it's important that our van operators understand this when they walk into your agency or walk into the shipper, that they understand how they're getting compensated, that they're being paid properly. And again, revenue processing is doing this manually right now to make sure it's there. TechMate is working to add the cloud-based devices. They've fixed a number of issues, but we're watching them, working with them very closely. So we're hopeful that the Android and iPad users out there will be able to get on board soon. This fall, we're looking at some different advances. We really need to watch how things go this summer. Everybody thinks you've thought everything through, but that's why you continue to grow it gradually to make sure we haven't missed anything important. So what we're working on now is what the fall improvements will be. Our hope is to introduce this to our real estate partners. Don't know exactly how that works, but that's something that's in the process. We're also looking at a version of a not to exceed. The challenge is it's almost a negative to some extent, and if you've seen some of our competitors, it ends up being that, well, your cost is $8,000, and for every 100 pounds you don't move, we'll reduce your cost by $18 or something. It's not going to, the math won't work out perfectly because we've got to work out the formula on how that comes out of AMF and transportation, so we've got a lot of work to do before we're going to do that. So right now we're focused on strictly a guaranteed price product. We should probably do something, maybe even on sales chat this week. We'll talk a little bit about how do you sell a guaranteed price. We've been selling not to exceed for so long, which, as the carrier, it's kind of like heads I win, tails you lose, right, Jim? Because at the worst case, if there's a little more weight than that, they only pay that price, and if there's less, then we get less money. So there's an art to selling guaranteed price, and we'll talk a little bit about that on sales chat, which, shameless plug, is tomorrow and Wednesday. Should have got an email Friday night. You'll get another one tomorrow morning and Wednesday morning, depending on which group you're in. Okay, any questions yet on the board there, Katie?
We had a couple. One was, are the bugs worked out for TechMate? So for the most part, the major bugs that we had, yes, except for the Apple and Android applications. And then the other question was regarding adding in the AMS fee. And the question was, why doesn't an error just pop up like when you don't save right now in the order estimate and registration? So that was actually a great suggestion, and we were thinking that we're still going to have it default to the 500, but then when the registration goes through, those error messages that we sometimes get if you register a shipment outside of the delivery spread will also be that it would show up there as well, that you did not enter an AMS fee. So that's a takeaway that we have here.
Excellent. None of us is
the other, we just got another one in. What is the discount used on hauling?
The discounts are following our current pricing guidelines. So again, for the summer, it's based on summer. For the peak of the summer, or for that June 15th, July 18th, prime pricing, everything follows the pricing guidelines out there. And yes, it is at the max of the prime of our pricing program. Okay?
Thank you. Good.
All right, let's keep rolling. Now the fun stuff. I'm going to have to make sure I get a good look at this. Let's go into registration and pricing. Guys, this is not my area of primary expertise, so Katie will be jumping in to correct me when I'm wrong. But of course, you're looking at the Stevens system. I think we're all pretty familiar with this. Because there weren't enough tariffs to pick from already, we've now added one more at the bottom of the SVL SP for SurePrice. Effective date, I see an arrow next to that. So is that going to be a default, Tammy, or do they have to enter the 1115?
No, that will default if you leave it blank. It's only if you need to get previous rates.
Okay, great. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward. When it's time to do the EMF, you can see that there's a new tab up there. Bing, 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 the SurePrice charges tab. This is all new. And by the way, you should have access to this. Tammy, you sent me an email this morning, but I already forgot. Was it today or tomorrow they have access?
Nope, you have access as of now.
Fantastic.
So again, Roger, do you mind if I just pipe in here for just a second? So just so everybody is aware, where you'll find the SurePrice charges is on the top tabs in the order estimate and registration. It's under charges, and then you'll come to this middle row, which is your packing crates, accessorials, and then SurePrice charges is the new one on here.
Excellent. Excellent. So then that's where you're going to go to the AMF, which stands for your agent management fee. Again, you need to click it. MSG. Okay. Somebody tell me what MSG is. I thought that was Chinese food.
It's for miscellaneous charges, like entering packing or crates. We just needed a code in that drop-down. So if you're going to quote for packing, you just select MSG, and then you put packing for your description and then the amount.
Okay, so this is if, so they can, the other packing tab no longer works, or this is just separate from that?
No, it works. It's if you're going to quote outside of the tariff.
Okay.
Or if you have crating or third-party services.
You want to roll that all together.
Right. You don't have to add it all into the agent management fee because the program will hide that fee. So if you want your customer to see the crate charge, you're going to put it here.
Okay.
Why would an agent waiver an AMF fee?
If that costs them to move and they're willing to eat their booking commission, they can put in a 0 to waive it.
We've actually had a couple of those, Jim. Every one of us gets that call from our cousin-in-law that we care so much about that says, what kind of a sweet deal can you do for me on a move? And we've actually had a couple of those, or maybe it's your favorite best friend or the person who, your barber that prefers to take the moves. That's what that typically is. Otherwise, I don't know why we'd work for free. I'm with you.
Okay. Just tried to ask the question.
Good question. On the SVL, by the way, can we go back?
Yes.
So as you see, that's where you clicked, you add the line, you enter this in here. Are we going to, I should probably know my slides better, and I apologize for not. We're going to go into the detail of the percentage versus amount later, right?
Yeah, we have the rate sheets in here as well as revenue distribution.
Okay, because correct me if I'm wrong, on here when they're setting up the move, they can establish this either as a dollar amount or a percentage. Isn't that correct? Uh-oh, crickets.
I
Okay,
don't believe the percentage is in there. So you mean like 20% of the line haul?
Yes, I know that TechMate did that. I didn't know. I thought we had done that too. My bad. Sorry. That's a TechMate thing. So again, you've got to do.
But we can follow up on that. That's, you know, just to have some clarification if they are able to do this, or if we want to make it available where they can put in a 20% or 30% or whatever it may be. So another great takeaway.
Okay, so we will get back to you on that one. See, this is a thing about early programs. We're going to just keep working on it until this is as good as it can possibly be. Let's keep going.
We have a question here. If weight is more than estimated, I assume Booker eats extra hauling charges. That is correct. They still have the same protest procedures in place that they would as a guaranteed price.
So, folks, a couple of things that are a little different from a not to exceed. On a not to exceed, as you know, your van operator must always have a lightweight before they go to residence. When your van operator is picking up a guaranteed price, there is no requirement to weigh it, which means that if there is a valid protest, then again, you've got your 2 hours to go out there. If you decide, no, this really is a good price, then the van operator will weigh it, and we will have the single weight that will be a back weight that will determine. Again, there will be, you know, to cover the additional costs as the questioner asked. If I'm a driver, I think it's a good habit always to have a lightweight just in case walking in the door, but officially, they do not need a lightweight on these shipments. Okay, good question. Wait.
So
okay,
now
we're on the TechMate.
Yes, so these next 2 or few slides here are actually just from the TechMate so that you can also see that we have the tariff here. And we actually had the tariff named something different prior to, so this screenshot might be a little dated, but it is the SVL SP tariff that you need to choose from your TechMate.
Yeah, we started calling it the flat rate tariff, but we figured out that was a really bad acronym, so we moved to the SurePrice. I'll let you guys all figure that out.
The next slide here is just showing what the fuel surcharge is and then where to put the rate in. So basically it's the same thing, but the TechMate is not going to automatically update it.
Okay.
And then this is where you would enter your agent management fee to bring up the box to enter your charges. This can be a per hundredweight charge, a flat rate, or if you put that negative, it will deduct from the agent management charges.
That's a great point to bring up, Katie, is it is possible if you make a mistake and put a negative number, the system does allow for that. It's a long story behind that, so make sure you don't put a negative number unless you want to write a check to service the shipment.
And then, John, I believe it was John Hopkins, did reply that you can do either put the flat rate or the percentage in the TechMate. So, John, I appreciate your feedback there.
Okay.
And then this next example is just putting, you know, the flat rate of $500 for the agent management fee. So this is on SVL the order estimate and registration. So this is under your preview tab. So if you were to go to print charges, where you would normally see your preview, this is the showing the detail of what the charges will be so that you can review it before you print the estimate. We'll go into the next few slides that the estimate does not show the detail here. So you do have the options either with or without the details, but just in the order estimate and registration, you have the detailed breakdown here.
Oh,
Do you have a question?
I was going to have to go back to that slide a second.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking for the AMF charge in here. Did I miss it?
Nope, it's at the very bottom here, so yeah.
So, okay, so that was a flat rate of 500.
Yep.
Okay.
And these slides, we can email them out to everybody who's on the call and probably all of our agents, but they are in the Pulse article as Roger spoke to earlier, and then we are recording this, so this will be up on Stevens TV as well.
So the agent, if they throw in that 10%, they will bottom line 10% of the total numbers, correct? Is there anything?
Transportation charge.
Pardon me?
10%
Only
of
the
the transportation
transportation
charge. If they put 10%, it would, in this case, it would have gone to 50. It would have been $526.54.
Okay, so this is just 100% based on the transportation charge, not the extras,
No.
nothing else.
If they put a percentage in there, it would just be on the transportation charge. Okay?
Okay.
This is what your estimate will print like with the details. So you can still see your line item, your fuel, your origin item 135 and destination item 135, but the customer will just see this included here. So this is just one way to print it, and I'll show you the next way. If you want to choose without the details, you just click this hide SurePrice details. Again, it's where you would click if you were hiding the discount levels, what we previously do on SVLM1. So this is what, if you hide the details, what your estimate will look like without it. So you just have your transportation charge, and that's where your fuel, your OA, and DA 135 is in. The valuation is a separate line item, as well as packing, and then if there was any destination services.
You know, I think that's probably the one thing I got the most positive feedback from at sales conference was salespeople saying, you mean I would never have to explain item 135 to a customer again? Because we've all had that conversation. Or, gosh, my gas just went down to $2.30 a gallon. Why are you charging me a fuel surcharge? That's one of the little side benefits, is just making it simpler for the customer.
Another thing that will be consistent is this is still going to be the title that prints on our order estimate and registration now, or I'm sorry, our order for service. So it's really just showing you that the tariff is the SVLSP, when the effective tariff dates are, which that will be updated.
Or, yeah, it's just because of the example.
Yeah, okay. Yep, and then what the pricing option are Stevens SurePrice. And this is actually our rate sheet that you guys would print off, and again, it does have the itemized figures on here, the fuel surcharge, the 135. And that is, we still need you to upload that into the our domestic reg inquiry, or to upload for accounting purposes. So we do still need that.
Might be a good time to address that question by Lillian.
The question is, since there's no discount used, are we supposed to use the peak, non-peak seasons tab on our TechMate depending on the time of year? So the TechMate, it's my understanding that TechMate they follow the same thing as our pricing guidelines. So depending on the load date, it would either be your peak or non-peak.
Yeah, the question, to answer that question would be yes. Because your TechMate should have prime and non-prime rates in there based by the dates.
But she shouldn't have to select that. That should be automatic when you're working
That
with
should be automatic. Should be automatic.
Another question, can we use this on our real estate relationships? No, not at this time. It's okay that you did miss that answer earlier. Can we...
Again, on the real estate, we're hoping to get there this fall. We want to get through one peak season, and we want to keep it at a manageable level, and we hope to come back to it. I think some of you who are able to charge top dollar to your real estate clients, this is going to be a gold mine for you once we roll it out.
Yes. Hey, Dave, your question is, can we simplify current sheet for customer? Are you talking about for SBLM1 then? Yes. His answer was yes. We're going to take that one back as a suggestion also. I'm not really sure what we could simplify unless we have to show it or show the fuel surcharge and that. So
the challenge is that for a customer who's on a not-to-exceed shipment, I don't think we can take that away because it's just like your cash register receipt. They have to know what the line items are that we're charging them for. Whether we can do that on a guaranteed price, I think, is the only question there would be, because just like you want to know what everything costs, we have to show the customer the details of where their charge comes from.
Another question, so packing, unpacking, crating, why are those not built into the AMS? One, because you can charge more. So say you're packing 22 dish packs and our cost for this example here is $656. Well, you might be able to charge $700 or $800. So we don't want to limit you to what you can charge for the packing.
From a practical standpoint, it's going to be easier, especially as you're learning it, is to have your salespeople continue to use the normal packing schedules you're used to. It's because if you're doing something different, you're going to have to come up with your own pricing structure. So Sally, salesperson who's at customer's residence, knows that you are really hoping to get $34 a dish pack. There's some complexity to it. If some of our agents, that's a piece of cake, you can roll that out, that's great, and you can put it in the AMF. But for most of us, I think it's going to be simple, at least initially, as we're getting to know it, to rely on the traditional pricing mechanism for things like your packing.
Yeah, that bottom one is yeah.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Okay. So let's say the agent includes their pack job and extras and even a shuttle, everything else in the total AMF, right? Mm-hmm. Which they can do.
Yeah.
So what happens if all of a sudden this now becomes a driver pack? So how are we to know?
It's the agent's responsibility. If the agent puts it in there, that means that they're committing to do it at those prices. Agents can't be making commitments on behalf of your PVOs. They're going to have to do a let's make a deal on the side otherwise. This is strictly if you are planning to do those services at your agent.
Well, where I was going, Roger, is that I've seen shipments registered and then all of a sudden turned into a driver pack 3 days before load date or 4 days before load date because the agent got busy, okay? So...
And we'll have to handle those one-off, Jim.
I'm just trying to just bring it up here and to say that, I was trying to, there has to be some type of packing sheet to determine how that revenue came to.
Well, this is the rate sheet that our agents are supposed to upload as well.
For that question, Jim, I think we're going to have to watch that this summer and see when that comes up. I'm guessing Stacy will probably have to jump in on those because, again, with the rate sheet, we'll show no packing on it, as you're saying. So that's a good point we'll have to keep our eye on. Another point that you reminded me of is, folks, if you're doing carrier-packed cartons, if you roll it into your AMF, that's all well and good, but you still must get the ASP signed. We need to verify that those 12 dish packs really were carrier-packed. Because, yes, our folks, we hope they put CP on the carton. Yes, we hope the driver inventory correctly. But we need to know exactly what you packed. So the ASP, even if you included your packing in the AMF, you still must get an ASP that clarifies exactly how many cartons you had packed. On Jim's point, that's something we're going to have to watch that and see if that's a once-a-month issue. If it becomes a once-a-week issue, then we'll probably have to look at that for the fall release. Fair enough, Jim?
That's correct.
Okay. Good point.
All right. Well, one of the questions, again, does this hurt our driver pay if we normally price lower than guidelines? The driver is going to see if it's a guaranteed or an SVL SP, they will know that it is at the max discount for the pricing guidelines. So as far as to say that it would hurt the driver or not, they're going to know what the price, what the discount level is now.
The short answer,
the driver is going to distribute it off whatever discount they put in there. So even if it's a sure price, right? No?
No.
The short answer to that question is yes. If you're currently booking stuff 4 points below max discount, yes, the driver will make less. You're absolutely correct. We need to. That's why, as we learn this and as we grow in the future, we're going to watch and see what the rates are. At the end of the day, at some point in time, I anticipate we're going to use this as a tool to help our drivers in the long run. That where we need to be competitive, it's going to be more of a sales and a market-by-market tool. But in the short term, the short answer is yes. If you're booking 4 below, the driver will make less money.
If packing listed under AMF, does that affect the claims? No, because it would still be on the inventory, and it would.
And on the ASP. That's why we use the ASP.
All right.
Just a note to our team here, we probably do need to come up with some sort of a worksheet. Tammy, let's maybe work on this, noodle around. How do we set up if it's, you know, agent, AMF, packing worksheet? I don't know what that looks like, but we probably do need to think that through just to where we have, so when claims gets it or the driver has to pack, we do need to know what's included. So that's kind of a takeaway for us as a team.
Okay. Good. So these are the revenue distribution sheets. Again, these are on SVL Online where you would click your normal revenue distribution. But this is for a booking agent. So, I mean, revenue is distributed the same way as far as 100% for, you know, the shuttle, the OA, and GA 135. Packing is still at 94%. So this is, again, just the breakdown, but the revenue distribution is the same except for, obviously, the agent management fee. And then for the hauling agent, this is where you can see what the percentage is at an 82%, and that's because with those items taken out there, correct?
Yeah, because the base of transportation is less. Line haul is less because the booking commission is not part of it, which is why the hauler gets a higher percentage.
We have a question. What should the current fuel surcharge be on this tariff in TechMate? It's going to be 2% higher than what the tariff is on SVLM1. So that you should be updating as the fuel surcharge changes.
So currently it's 9.
Yeah.
9 plus 2?
Yep.
Okay, 7 plus 2.
All right. There's some questions. Joey, you're saying that you just ran an example with the same origin and destination, and the SurePrice is much less. Why? I think some of those questions, until we actually see, you know, what your order for service looks like, we can't speak to that very accurately. So
well, it should be about 20. It should be almost 20% less because there's no booking in it. So without seeing what you've got, Joey, that's we would expect it should be. It should be less.
AMF.
Yeah.
And you can always email any of us a rate sheet estimate, and we can go ahead and look at it. it's much better to be looking at the actual sheet.
Yeah, and guys,
So,
that's the
Joey,
thing.
if you
spot
want to
something, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Raj.
If you spot something sideways, again, we've said several times, we're rolling this out gradually. This is uncharted territory, and you've never seen our rate files, but there's an incredible quantity of numbers and matrices. If you find something that looks glitchy, don't be bashful. Shoot it to Katie, shoot it to Tammy, shoot it to us, and we will be on it as fast as we can because we want to make sure we're helping you put your best foot forward. We want this program to succeed.
So, Joey, please be sure to reach out to either myself or Tammy. Bonnie's not in today. And send us over what you're actually working on, the estimate from your TechMate or the order for service so that we can compare them. The next question, so the 135 origin will always go to the driver now. No, it goes to whoever picked up the shipment. So that's still distributed the same. Okay. Good questions. And, you know, as Roger was saying, this is the rollout of it, but there will be some glitches, and, you know, we definitely want to make it a better program. So
our goal is to roll out better than Obamacare did. That's our goal.
Yes.
Okay, I thought that was funny.
It was funny. We have our audited bill of lading example here, and really you can just tell the difference here that it says included. Really, that's the main difference.
And you can't hide that on the bill.
Okay, Tammy just said you can't hide the itemized list here on the bill of lading. That's why we have to put that it's listed and included. What is the line haul distribution on agent book haul under the self-haul radius? So your question is basically if you have, if you still receive the 90%, if for the revenue distribution. I am not sure because it would, for the transportation, John, I'm going to have to get back to you on that because you would be getting the full agent management fee, and then as far as the hauling, my first instinct would say you're going to get the 82% of it, but I need to clarify that with Bonnie. So
I think
I will
correct,
get back
Katie.
to you.
I believe it is 82% because, again, it's of a smaller number. 90%
Right.
of a bigger number versus 82% of a smaller number. But again, Katie, I'm sure you can clarify that when Bonnie returns. That's what our understanding is.
So all the charges we hid for the estimate now come on the bill of lading, and the customer is asking us what this is. So this is a legal reason why we have to show what you're being paid or what we're collecting is included. So, Roger, do you have any suggestions?
Well, first off,
just
as
other
a
than
salesperson, that's probably just going to be, if somebody notices that, remember, this is the bill of lading that the driver presents for signature. If the customer happens to call you, you can simply say, as we talked in our sales, you pay a single price. Those are just some of the things that are included. We're not charging you anything extra for any of those. But in terms of how we pay our drivers, he's still getting paid every penny that's coming to him. Just keep it simple that way.
Tammy was saying that you can print in the order estimate and registration, you would just print the no charges, and then
The customer would sign it because it prints the signature options in the headers, and there's no charges. And then the customer signs it, and then your driver takes it back to the booker or wherever, and they run it back through with the charges. I mean, that's currently done.
so that's another option.
Well, it's a lot of information today, isn't it?
Yeah. We don't have any more questions on this end over here. We do have a hand raised by Wendy, so I'm going to unmute you, Wendy. Are you there? Well,
Maybe
Wendy,
she
you
doesn't
can
have a
reach out.
microphone on her computer. Can she type it in?
If she would like to, Wendy, if you want to put it in the chat or the questions box. If not, we can reach out to you afterwards.
Guys, I just want to say I think this has got a lot of potential, and you're going to have to explore how it best works in your agency and in your market. I firmly believe this is going to help our agents to be more profitable, and I think in the long run, this is going to be a good thing for all parties, for our PBOs, for our customers, as well as for our agencies and our van lane. This is the trend where the world is going to. We're trying to understand best how to implement it, so please, let's keep an open dialogue. Sales chat is a great place to bring up those conversations. If you've got questions, concerns, or ideas, I'm going to be asking you over the next months to talk a little bit about where you've had successes, because the best thing we can do is learn from one another. We will continue to refine this until we've got the best possible product, because Stevens is the leader in the moving and storage industry. That's all I have for today. Anything else, folks?
There's no OABA percentage anymore if you choose SVL SP. No, because you would only enter that OA percentage in if it was an off-point booking, and these are all where you have to be assigned as the origin agent. So you're handling it complete, which would be your normal revenue distribution on that. So, no.
Good question.
All right. Well, we had great conversation, and again, this is recorded. If some members on your team weren't able to participate.
Another question there.
Oh, also, don't forget this is happening again in another couple hours, so if you had fun this time, you can have more fun by coming back next time.
All right. If there are any other questions, please feel free to shoot those to us. But we do appreciate everybody being here, and we'll see you again at 3 o'clock. Thank you.
Is that